Hey guys, how you doing today? It's Steve on the Guru Brew. You know, I've been working with CNCs a while, and the first CNC machine I built from scratch. I had some plans on the internet, and I'll go over that in a minute. But this video serves two purposes. It shows you some of the features of what a homemade machine can look like and does look like, and it also helps me to decide what I want to do with it now. I have two machines, and one's a Techno, and I use that most often now. And the other one has been down and sitting in the corner, and I really want to do something with it. So this is going to be, some out loud thinking. And if you have any comments on this, I want to really hear them, ideas that I could do with this. Go ahead and watch a whole video, and then you'll get an idea of what I'm after. So let's get started. Well, as you can see, this is my homemade CNC machine that I modeled off the popular JGRO machine. It's made of all wood, and it's become a bit of a junk area. I haven't had this running in a while. I borrowed some motors off it for testing once, and I never put them back on because I use this machine. And even though this machine is a little bit smaller than this machine in the length that it can cut, I just go to the Techno because it's running. But this is all how it started, is using this machine. I built it, and then I learned how to use it. So actually, I knew nothing about CNC machines until this was built completely. And I've been thinking about what to do with this machine. This will cut a 39-inch board, and this one will cut a 20-inch board. The width on this is about 21, and the width on this one is, I think, 15. I think this one's 15 by 30. And you can see all the junk piled up on it. Just like a exercise machine in the corner. You know how it ends up with a bunch of clothes on it. Look at this mess. Anyway, yeah, there's more mess down here. This is a table I built for it, and my tools are just going everywhere. I've been busy here, so you just kind of throw stuff wherever it's not in the way and keep going. That's kind of what's happened here. But I figure it's time to pull this out and do something with it. I don't know if I want to rebuild it, or if I want to modify it, or I just want to take it apart and possibly sell it. I'm not sure. I thought it would be nice to have a bigger machine, but this room that I built, is only big enough to hold the two machines, and then my table here, and then a drill press in the corner. I do have a sink in here, which is handy, and I use it for making coffee and stuff like that, but I do have a window back there. But if I modified this for as big as I want, which would do a 4x8 sheet, 4x8 feet, it wouldn't fit in this room, and I'd have to dedicate another room in the building for it. I have space in this building, but I don't know if I want a full-size machine. I can think of a few projects on it, but I don't know if I can justify the cost and sparing the space for it more than anything. And then I thought, on the other side of the spectrum, it would be cool to have a machine that just is dedicated doing small circuit boards. You probably watched me make some circuit boards on this Techno, and I thought about modifying this one just for that, and then making it smaller. Or I could just leave it the same size and do boards on this and get it up and running again. And that might be the most sensible thing to do with it right now. And then I thought too, I could modify this by putting a heat bed on it and a extrusion nozzle and turn it into a 3D printer. So that's a possibility too. Or I could do both. I could make it a 3D printer and I could do circuit boards over here. I would just have to add the fourth axis for the heat extruder, and I'd have to make it removable. So in today's show, what I'm going to do is we're going to sit down and think about this a minute, and I'll pull this out and we'll look it over. And I probably won't do anything with it for a few days. I just want to get a look at it and maybe get some input from you guys what I should do with this machine. And it wouldn't take much to get it going again. Let's sit down and think this over. I'll be back. I'm on my computer and I wanted to show you where I got the plans originally for this gyro router. This member on CNC Zone actually made up the plans and then donated them to the community. Very gracious. His drawings are very good, and I do recommend that if you want to learn a ton about CNCs, build your own, and this is a good one to build. There are others, but I chose this one at the time. This was back in 2005 that I built this, so it's been around like 11 years I did this, and in that time I learned a lot. The CNC Zone forums are what got me started, and that's when I found this post. And like I said, he's done a good job of giving all the files. In fact, he even gave SolidWorks files of the full 3D rendering, which are nice. And there's also, you know, DFX files there too. But this was made entirely out of wood. Let me bring up the SolidWorks file so we can take a look at it here. So this is the rendering that I downloaded, and this is actually the gyro. This is the machine that I made, and I pretty much made it to the letter as far as all the build construction for the wood. And I really didn't have any fancy tools to build this either. I had a table saw and a drill press, and that's about it. And then the rest were all hand tools. And it was a really good first starter project, and I recommend still building this today. Let's take a look at some of the features of it, and then we'll go in the other room and pull it out of the corner and see what needs to be done with this. You can see there's two major uprights, and this is actually just MDF board, 3/4 inch. There's two pieces that are glued together to make this base, the thickness here. And the base also has this honeycomb construction on the bottom. And I can remember putting this together on a not so flat table. It still worked out, but I had to end up redoing part of it because it wasn't flat. But this is all MDF board. It's either 3/4 inch, and I think I used some 1/2 inch too. It looks like the supports were 1/2 inch. And then, you know, it's a pretty simple design. Let me move it back down this way. And then this is just gas pipe right here, black gas pipe, and it's on each side. Let's get a look at the bearings. So the bearings are actually roller skate bearings, and I went on eBay and I bought like 20 roller skate bearings for like 10 bucks, and that's what these are. And they're mounted to just some aluminum angle stock that I bought at Home Depot. Either that or Lowe's. I think I got most of my hardware at Lowe's. They even had a hardware list of all the bolts and nuts that I needed, and that was really helpful, and that's included in the PDF download. And we'll go back to that web page. This is where you can download it from here on the CNC Zone. You might have to register to download it, but it is free. Let's go back to our drawing and look at some of the other features. So this torsion box underneath the thing is all wood, and even the the rail supports right here, these little blocks. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 of those blocks that I had to make. And there is some built-in adjustment into it. You know, you can loosen one of these bolts on one side, tighten it on the other. And that was one of the downfalls to this machine. You know, it's made out of wood, so you can't really wrench on those a whole lot, but there's enough there where you can get it pretty good. But there is some adjustment in it. And I noticed another download that I'll show you that I didn't build is called Joe's router. I think it was Joe, and he contributed his build too, and we'll look at that in a minute. But it uses a double rail system, and this is only a single on each side. But again, this was really easy to build, and I did this just in my spare time with hardly no tools. And then you can see that the gas pipe is up here too, with those same blocks holding it in. You can see the stepper motor. And the lead screws are just all thread that you also could buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, just in the hardware section. And it's just 10/24, I think it was, 1/4 inch. And one thing about the 30-inch bed on this thing, the lead screw would really start whipping if you went too fast, because that lead screw was, I think, 35 or 40 inches. And he does show inside here, I probably can't get in here right now, my SolidWorks is kind of going nuts. But right down in here, inside this torsion box, there's an anti-whip mechanism that he made out of Delron. And he has the plans here to do that, but I didn't do that, and I probably should have, to avoid that whip. I did modify mine in several ways. I did my bearings and stuff up here different, but that was only because I used what I had, and I really didn't buy that much. Up here, for the linkages, the all thread goes through here, and what I used for this is just 2 clamps and some fuel line hose for the coupling. And when we pull the machine out, I'll show you all this. So it's a really simple machine, and this is where it all started for me. I didn't have SolidWorks at the time either, and it wasn't a big deal because of the way he did the drawings. I'll show you how he also gave the drawings. This will open up my V-carve, but you could use any program that will open a DFX. These are the actual drawings that I used, and let me open up a part here so you can get an idea of how nice he did the detail on these drawings. You can see this is for the anti-backlash nut, and he even shows you how to make that out of wood and Delron, I think it was. Here are the drawings for those adjustable blocks that I showed you on the front of the machine. And he's got all the measurements here, and like I said, just using a drill press and some woodworking tools, I was easy to make this. So anyway, there are the old drawings for my gyro router, and I often wondered why it was called the gyro router. Evidently that's the guy that created it. That's his login for the CNC zone, from what I understand. Let me open up this Joe's router, the other one I was telling you about that looks a little bit more rugged, and I'll tell you why I think it is. So this is a rendering of the Joe's machine, and the first thing you'll notice is there's double gas pipes on each side. And the first thing that you'll probably notice is there's double gas pipes on each side to support the Y. And not only that, but he has the supports that build up the bed of this machine. He has them all milled out to hold those gas pipes from sagging. And that was one thing about my machine, is the gantry rides along these gas pipes, and even though they're, you know, solid steel gas pipes, after a while they could bow on you, especially right in the middle, whereas this one is supported all along and less likely to happen. Also, some improvements up here in the gantry. He's also supported the gas pipe that goes up here. I wonder why he didn't run the gas pipe through these covers, through the supports, but evidently he has enough support there where he doesn't need that. Anyway, I just wanted to show you these designs to let you know what's out there, and take a look at different ways that maybe I could improve mine. I still don't know what way I'm going to go yet. I want to look up some parts online to see what a heat bed, maybe an extrusion nozzle, would cost and what it would involve. And also I would have to have a different board. I have a 3-axis controller kit right now that I haven't put together yet that I could use. But if I wanted to turn it into a 3D machine, I'd have to add a 4th axis or just build another controller altogether. So these are some things I have to take a look at. Let's go ahead and get on the internet here and see what we can see for parts for a 3D printer. Okay, so I'm looking for some parts and whatnot to convert this possibly to a 3D printer. And why reinvent the wheel? So I Googled for CNC router retrofits, and I got this page that came up first, John's Hobbies, and this is exactly what I want to do. This guy took a low, just a hobby CNC machine, and he describes how he put a head on there and retrofitted it. And I was reading down through here, and there's some good information, so I'll have to read this more carefully later. But then I tried to find some links in here, and I really didn't see none obvious without reading through this completely. So then I just went on Google again and started searching for print heads and stuff like that. Here's a page here to help us get a little idea. This is makergeeks.com, and I seen right here they have a dual head extruder ready to print. Thing's almost $200, and right now I really don't think I need a dual anyway. But I seen right here there's a single head extruder ready to print for $90, so that's not bad. And then I seen this picture here of this getting started kit, and I clicked on it, and it comes with everything and more that I don't need. Like, I won't need a power supply, and I won't need the micro switches and the bearings and stuff like that. Really what I need is the heat bed, the controller, and the extrusion nozzle, and I can come up with all the other parts of my own. So then I did another search, and I found this on eBay, which is kind of interesting. This comes with an extruder, a control board. It looks like it has some micro switches, perhaps, a controller, some gearing, plus it even has this heat bed. Look at that. And some wiring and cable. This looks like something that might work. And look at the price on it. It's under $200. So I will have to do some more investigating. I see they have some other kits here too that all run about the same money. But this is very doable for a couple $100 if I can retrofit without much of a problem that CNC machine. That's what I'll do. And this doesn't come with steppers, but I already have those, so that's not a big deal. And the gears and stuff like that I probably won't use, but you never know. I mean, if it comes with the deal. So I just wanted to get an idea before I get looking at that machine in there real seriously about what some of my options are. And it looks like, at face value, without going into it too deep, for around $200 I can buy most of the parts I need to do the conversion, so that's not bad at all. Well, let's go in the other room and pull it out from the wall a little bit and get rid of some of the junk and take a closer look at what I've got to do just to get it up and running, and then we'll talk about some of the conversions next. I started cleaning up so I can pull this machine out and show you some of the things about it, this homemade CNC machine. And I came upon my original Techno controller, and that came off this machine originally. You can see I'm moving boards around and just trying to organize this room up a little bit. But anyway, I wanted to show you this because this is the original controller that was on that machine over there. This machine was originally servo controlled instead of stepper motors. It had big old servo motors on it. And the reason why I changed all this out, this was working when I received it, but the stepper motors were really slow, and this controller would only allow it to move one axis at a time. And for, you know, doing any kind of like 2.5 or 3D, you had to it took forever. It could still do everything that the modern ones can do, but one axis would have to stop before the other one could start. And it didn't have near the feed rates as the stepper motors have. So I took this out of service because it was cheaper to actually just change over all the motors and build a controller for it. And if you look back on my other videos, some of my earlier videos, I explain how I did the conversion and the kit that I used. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this and open it up. Let me tip this up on the side and show you what a beast this thing is. Well, there it is. That's what it looks like inside. And you know, this thing costs thousands of dollars, I'm sure. And it's all custom. You can tell this was built custom, and these cards were slid in according to the features that you bought on your Techno CNC router. Look at that nice transformer. I might have to borrow that for another project. This has a lot of good parts in it. And you can see this is the power supply too. Big old beefy fan. And so for each one of the axes, I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 cards there, and this was a 3-axis. So I just thought I'd show you this original servo controller and tell you why I changed it out. Here you can see right here, this is Z, Y, and X. These 3 boards right here, and I'm not sure what these are, but this would work on a Windows DOS machine originally. So yeah, it had to go. But I'm definitely going to recycle some of these parts. These are really good. Alright, on with the cleaning. I've been moving things around and sweeping and stuff like that. I'm starting to get it out slowly. I'll be back. I found this too. This is a test that I did. Egyptian symbols on plexiglass. When you put it in the light, it comes out really cool. I did this with V-Carve Pro, and it was really easy to do. Look through my videos for V-Carve Pro. That's the software that did this. I thought about making an acrylic computer case one day using hieroglyphics. That might be cool with a light inside. Alright, I keep stalling. I gotta get this place cleaned up. I'm making some progress on getting this cleaned up, and I wanted to show you why I actually wanted to build this machine in the first place. It's to do these cupboard doors, and here's an example of one sitting here. Let me go in for a closer look and I'll show you. So here's an example of a V-carved cupboard door, and I was making these for a while, and I actually built this machine to fit these doors. These are, you know, pre-made doors that are just blank, and I was buying them and engraving different scenes on there, and so that's really the need for this machine in the first place. There's quite a bit of detail in that. Alright, back at it. Alright, I've been working like a dog, and I pulled this out from the wall just to get it in the middle of the room so I can get around the machine. And we'll go around and I'll show you some of the features of this thing, so let's do that next. So these are the little adjustment blocks that hold the gas pipe in that I was telling you about, that I had to make 12 of them. Each one of them has a bolt and a lock nut on it, and you can see there's a little slop in here, so if I need to go, say, that way with the gas pipe, I can loosen this one and tighten this one, and they're on all corners. Something that I really liked about this machine that I did is I made a homemade table, and what I did is I programmed the machine to cut all these holes, and then I took some dowel rod and just use it to square off the project. And I did cut a lot of doors with this, so what I would do is just slide it up against the stops, you know, kind of like a jig. And then this is from the electrical supply companies, and I made a clamp out of it, you know, so you can tighten it up, turn these down, and it will hold your workpiece. And I've got extra little bolts floating. This is a great way to hold your stuff, and then once this baseboard gets beat up, I can just bolt down another one. So this is the first thing that I took out. I do have the motor that I took out of here, and it fits right here, and you can see it just couples with this threaded rod with a piece of gas tubing. It's a great way to connect it. Let me show you what the other end of this is connected to. This is the back of the gantry, and this is a really good shot of my homemade slop nuts, I guess you would call them. It's made out of Delrin, and I actually used a cutting board that I chopped up into little squares on my table saw, and then I just used bolts. And the idea of this piece is threaded, and so is this, and they pull apart like this to keep the slop out of this threaded rod, and it works like an anti-backlash nut, a cheap one though. And that solution was used on all three accesses. Works well. Well, down here is the business end of things, and I haven't seen this in a while because it was up against the wall. But everything is accessible from here. All the motor inputs come in here, and then all the micro switches for my home and my safety switches. And I made up a harness that I had coming out of my controller, and I would just go ahead and put these in these French style terminal strips. This worked out really good. This is the size of the motor. It's 1.8 degrees step. I don't remember what the torque is on this, but I have the same motor on all three accesses, and these are actually quite strong despite their small size. Now this is a shot of the Y-axis, and you can see the gas pipe is held in here. And then these are the roller skate bearings that I was telling you about, and there's 4 of them on each. There's one here, there, and there's 2 underneath. Let me see if I can get you a better shot on that. There, now perhaps maybe you can see of how it's grasping the pipe on the upper and lower end. And again, this technique's used on all 3 accesses. It's just a cheap aluminum angle, bolts, nuts, and roller skate bearings. Here is the opposite end of the threaded rod for the Y-axis. I'm sorry, this would be the X-axis, and this is just another wooden block that captures a bearing inside here. This wasn't actually on the plans the same way. I kind of come up with my own, but I did this on all 3 accesses again. It's just basically a wood block that's bolted on here, and there's a space for the bearing cut out of the wood on the inside. Works really good. Here's a shot of underneath the table, and you can see the honeycomb support that I was showing you on the CAD program that I made that I had to redo. Also, if you look under there, you can see it barely right there. That's another one of those anti-backlash type nuts that I made out of Delrin, or just a cutting board material. And like I was saying, this lead screw is pretty long. If you went too fast, it would start whipping in the middle because there is a little sag to it. So that is a look at the machine. Really the only thing that needs to be done to this to get it back in working order is to put a motor on that side, and then I'll have to make up another controller because I took that other controller for the Techno router. There is one more thing. When we moved this and set it up, it was pretty stiff, but it's been sitting here for a while, and I've noticed that it's out of spec if you try to rock this. And that's a real problem, but adjusting those blocks, I'm sure I can get most of that out of there. So this whole thing's going to have to be recalibrated and tightened up. You can't have any slop like that. There's a tiny bit of slop here in the Z, but this is the real problem here. And that's the beauty of that other design that I was showing you, the Joe's router. I'm considering taking this apart and just selling or using the parts. And let me know what you think about the extruder idea, making this into a 3D printer. Maybe I'll just patch it up and use it like it is and add the extruder on here. And then that way if I want to cut bigger pieces, bigger than 20 inches, you know, I can cut to 30 on this. So because it's already made, maybe that's the best option. Let me know your ideas and suggestions, and if you have any ideas for parts or things that I can do to improve this, let me know. And as usual, I'll record what I plan to do. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. Hey, I also wanted to give a plug for our new channel, the Brew 2. I did an announcement for it about a week ago, and we've had quite a bit of activity on there, and thank you for that if you've gone over and checked it out. If you haven't checked it out yet, please go over to the Brew 2 and check out our new channel. I'll leave a link here that you can click on that will take you to there. And we've been running the channel just over a week now. We've got about 7 or 8 videos up there, and we're publishing so far every day, and there's some really good tips for Windows users on there, such things as creating restore points and pinning programs to start menus, necessary things that a computer user is going to want to know. Chances are you already know some of these things, but it's always good to have a fresh look on it or learn new things. So thanks for going over there in advance and supporting us. Maybe subscribe and give us a thumbs up. It helps us grow immensely, and it's really important during this early time in the Brew 2 to have support. So thank you. We'll see you.